I'm Madeleine Edgar, back again with one of my Marvellous Movement Feldenkrais tips for you. And you can find my Marvellous Movement easy workbooks at marvellousmovement.com. So today we're going to do something a little different. It's called a body scan, and we're going to do it today in standing. And this is because the more you pay attention to what you're really doing, the more information you give your brain. So it's useful to do this scan, the standing body scan, before and after you do your movement sequences or your awareness through movement lessons. But you can also do them at any time during the day, when you're standing in the bank in the queue or waiting for a train or wherever, because the more you draw your brain's attention to what you're really doing, the more opportunities we have to begin to change and improve our efficiency. So just stand the way that you would normally stand when you're talking to a friend, and begin to pay attention to what you notice about the weight on your feet. Is it more to the front of the feet or the back? Is it more to the insides or the outsides? And maybe it's different on one foot than the other. And maybe one foot turns out a little more than the other. What do you really notice about the way you take your weight on your feet today? Because it changes. And then begin to notice your knees. Do they feel bent or a little pushed back or somewhere in between? And again, maybe one knee is doing something slightly different than the other. Notice how that is for you today. And then you can begin to notice, do you have more weight on one leg than the other? And we mostly do. We all have a leg that we tend to take weight more habitually on. Which one is it for you? And then there is the position of your pelvis. Now it can feel tilted forward with a hollow in your back and your tail sticking out, or tilted backwards with your tail tucked under and a flat back, or somewhere in between. And it can also feel a little bit higher on one side than the other. If you put your hands on what we call your hips, but they're not, or iliac crests, maybe one of those feels a little higher on one side than the other, or a little further forward or back. What do you notice about the position of your pelvis? And then you can come to the lower vertebrae, up through from the pelvis to the bottom of where your rib cage starts. Does that feel arched forward or flatter or somewhere in between? And then gradually go up through the vertebrae in the spine where the ribs are attached, the thoracic spine. And notice the shape of your spine and what parts of your spine you're actually more aware of or less aware of. We all have little gaps somewhere. And then you can come to your neck and feel the shape of your neck. Again, does it curve forwards or is it fairly straight? Does your head feel tilted or turned to one side or the other? And one thing I often like to ask is, to which foot does your nose point? That's a big clue. And then notice your shoulders. Does one shoulder feel higher or lower or further forward than the other or closer to your spine? What do you notice about your shoulders? And then notice how your arms hang by your side. Does one arm feel longer, heavier, bent differently, or at a different angle to your thigh? What do you notice about your arms and the way that they hang beside you? So we can alter this, vary it in different ways, but it's a really useful thing to do to really get to know what you're doing. And then when you do your movements or exercises, you can compare and you can begin to vary your movements and change the habits that may be damaging you. So next time we'll do a body scan lying down. But that's enough for today. Bye.